He's like, I used to cook up these big old bricks. And he looks me dead in the eyes and he goes, big as a fucking boombox. I try not to laugh, but it's fucking hilarious. What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for another edition of the Mr. Blackman Show. I'm your host, Jordan Blackman, and on today's episode, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a story time, I guess. I'm going to tell you a little ditty about this guy that, me and my coworkers, my friends know as Crackhead Leslie. Yes, Crackhead Leslie. That's the name that I gave him because I didn't have his name at the time. And he looked like a Leslie, and he's a total fucking junkie, so Crackhead Leslie it is. So where I work, it's in this brand new development in the downtown core. It's really nice, actually, but kind of on either side of it is like junkie central. Like, it's really bad. Super high concentration of crackheads. They don't really hang out in the new development. They kind of just pass through to go from one side to the other. So yeah, there's tons of people that come by in the new area, lots of shops, restaurants and whatnot. But super interesting mix of people because you'll just see like families and just regular people and then total fucking crackheads that typically are just passing through. They don't really hang out. I guess it's just too busy for them. But they have, I guess there's like resources for them kind of on either side. And on one end, there's like a 7-Eleven, which has always kind of been like crackhead central for pretty much every city that I've ever been to. But anyways, how we came about to meet Crackhead Leslie is, I'm a barber, by the way. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in previous episodes. But one day, it's a bit slow. I'm waiting for my next client, and there's two other guys there. One of my coworkers, Ryan, he goes out to the coffee shop next to us to grab us coffees. And this guy, he's just this tiny, frail, old man. He pokes his head into the shop and he goes, how long's the wait? And I go, oh, it should be about 5 minutes. Ryan's just grabbing coffee, goes, too long. And he's gone. So I'm thinking that's that, right? Go about my day. A couple days go by. And he pokes his head in again. And, how long's the wait? And I said, I got time for you right now, brother. So he comes down, sits down in my chair. He just kind of wants his hair buzzed really short, like a number 2, number 3, all the way around. No lineup, no fade. Super, super easy cut, right? So I sit him down in my chair, put the cape on the guy. I turn him, and I start cutting his hair. Literally fucking 5 minutes into his haircut, he asked me, how long I've been sitting here? And I'm like, hey, buddy, it's only been about 5 minutes, but it shouldn't be too much longer in case you got somewhere to be. And he goes, oh, no, I don't have anywhere to be. I have no sense of time. I could have been here for 10 minutes. I could have been here for an hour. So I'm like, no problem. We're almost done either way. So as I'm cutting his hair, I'm slightly turning the chair. And I turn his chair fucking maybe an inch. And he goes, whoa, feels like you just spun my chair as hard as you can and it's still spinning. And I was like, oh, I apologize. I'll try not to move you. He's like, yeah, my vertigo is all off. I got no sense of time. And I don't have much of a sense of touch or feeling anymore ever since I blew myself up. And I'm like, holy shit. So I ask him, how'd you do that? And he so nonchalantly goes, meth lab explosion. And I'm just like, me and my boss at the, we're both there at the time. And we're just like, holy fuck, bro. Like, why are you telling us this? We don't say that, but we both are like, holy shit. And he goes, well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just like, Jesus, man. Like, you didn't have to say anything, man. You didn't have to give us a reason why or anything, bro. Like, he's old as fuck and he's a junkie. Like, it's very obvious that he's gonna be a little bit fucked up. No explanation needed. So then he goes on to tell us that he's been selling meth and shit forever, years and years, mind you. The old guy, like Joe Biden old looking. Anyways, we get his age later. I'll get to that, but like fucking old guy, right? And he's telling me that, yeah, he used to be a cash millionaire. He had a brand new, I don't know, Ferrari parked out front of this condo building. And the motherfucker tells me that the explosion was so big, it blew the whole apartment building off the frame. Like, building is damn near condemned. Everything's on fire. I'm just like, holy shit. And I don't know how, but I guess because of the explosion and the flames, they couldn't really pin any crimes on him, but they seized, his car and I guess some of the money that they found, because of the obvious nature of the fire. And they suspected his money to be dirty money. So he didn't walk out of there with anything, apparently, but no jail time. I don't really know what to say at this point. We're all kind of just at a loss for words. I finish up the cut, as quickly as I could. Mind you, this guy's like, he fucking smells like outside. You know what I mean? He smells like outside. So I used the old pair of clippers, cleaned them up. I keep them in my drawer almost just for this nigga. Anyways, finish up the cut, go to the front desk. He kind of hobbles over there, pulls out some money out of his little coin purse. I think I charged, like, I can't remember at the time if my prices were lower, but I charged $40 for a haircut. And so anyways, he pulls out whatever I charged him for the cut plus like a $10-15 tip, right? No problem. It is what it is. Got a hilarious story out of it. I'm thinking I'll probably never see this guy again. He leaves. He is super friendly. He leaves, comes back a couple of hours later, and he's pulling money out of his pocket. So I'm thinking, this nigga, like, doesn't even realize that he's already paid me hours before, right? So I tell him, I'm like, oh, buddy, like, we're good. We're all settled up, don't worry about it. He goes, I know I paid you, and I tipped you too. What, do you don't want free money, boy? I'm just like, oh, man. Why does it have to get racist? Why are you calling me boy? I take the 5 and I go, I'll see you later, buddy. Have a good one. And he goes, oh, I will. I make 'em that way. And off he goes into the sunset, right? Couple of weeks go by, and here and there throughout those couple of weeks, he's walking by our window every now and again. Big smile, ear to ear. Gives me a wave. Sometimes when I'm cutting and I don't see him walking by, he'll go right up to the window and look at me. And then if I don't notice, he'll pop, 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 bang on the window and just waves, keeps it moving. Couple weeks go by, and he comes in again. He's got money, and he goes, I'm due for a haircut pretty soon, so I'll just pay for it now. And I'm like, what day is it? Like, it's got to be Welfare Wednesday, right? So this nigga gives me like, I don't know, like $40, and he's like, I'll be in soon, sometime soon, next week or whatever. I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. Another few days go by, and he comes in again. He's like, yeah, maybe in a week or two, I'll be due for another haircut. And he gives me more money. So at this point, I'm just up. This is just a tip. I'm not even mad. He's kind of an interesting dude. So I'm like, hey, no problem. Prepays for his cuts and tips handsomely. But the funny thing is he's prepaying once he gets his like welfare and or disability checks so that he doesn't smoke it. But at least he's got the foresight. He knows himself well enough that if he doesn't prepay, he's going to blow all his money on drugs and he's going to be broke. So he prepays whatever. Like a week goes by, he comes in, he's like, do you got time? I said, yeah, absolutely. Have a seat. Sits down in my chair. He's listening to the radio on some tiny little boombox that he's got, some Katy Perry song that's playing. I don't know why I remember that. And doesn't turn it off. Takes his headphones out, so it's playing like out loud. Doesn't turn it off. Nigga smells like outside mixed with like cigarettes. And he sits down and he wants to elaborate more on his fucking, his past Breaking Bad-esque life. So I'm like, whatever. I indulge the guy. I start listening. I ask a couple of questions here and there. And he's like, yeah, goes on again. I used to be a cash millionaire, blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, I used to cook up these big old bricks. And he looks me dead in the eyes and he goes, big as a fucking boombox. I try not to laugh, but it's fucking hilarious. I finished the cut. He pulls out more money, goes to tip me some more. And I'm like, bet, this dude's giving me like, over the course of like 3 weeks, he's giving me like $100. And then, he's like, yeah, he says thank you. And he's like, I'll always tip you, I'll always give you $100. That's the price, the usual price. He gives me the money and he's on his way. A few more weeks go by, and this is kind of probably around summertime now. And I always see him walking around, sometimes he's got a buddy with him. Sometimes he's got some fucking crackhead looking prostitute with him, right? Just a couple of junkies just scooting through town. He's always wearing latex gloves for some reason. I don't know why. He's always got gloves on. So yeah. Over the course of the few weeks, he comes in, prepays for his cuts, takes him a couple of weeks to build up to $100, and he gets a cut. One time, one of our other guys, I think it was Ryan, he goes, yeah, he's like, crackhead Leslie for sure is still slanging dope. He's like, I seen the motherfucker, hanging in somebody's car window, handing something and taking cash. So I'm like, this nigga's hilarious. Collects welfare, lives in like those halfway house type housing places where it's just a couple $100 a month or whatever, and slangs dope. And the nigga's 75 years old. And for a 75-year-old, he doesn't even look bad. But for a 75-year-old crackhead, the nigga looks amazing. Like, he's gotta be smoking Heisenberg shit. There's no way. He's gotta have the cleanest dope in the country at this point, because he's got all his teeth. He doesn't look bad, especially considering the circumstances. He looks great, right? And every once in a while, he'll just poke his head in, slip me some money, and say, a couple of weeks, whatever, right? One time, it's a beautiful day outside. This nigga walks by. He's got a fucking brand new leather jacket on, no shirt underneath, jacket's open, and he's high as balls, just high as a kite, right? Got some crackhead bitch on his arm, high as a motherfucker, right? Fucking cigarette lit. Sticks his head in, stinks up the whole shop. And, it's always the same. It's either he gives me a little bit of money and says he'll be in, next week or in a couple of weeks, or he just says, I'm due for a cut, soon, let me know when it looks bad. Mind you, he gets a buzz, right? And his hair doesn't grow very fast at all. He was in probably for a cut like once a month. And then throughout the summer, he started getting real generous. Like, started, I think, at one point, he came in 3 or 4 consecutive days and gave me $20 to $60 every day. Almost every day I was at work that week, he came in and fucking blessed me with some money. So I'm like, whatever, right? At this point, this nigga's a VIP, right? Like, he's always welcome. So one time he comes in, and he's got his little fanny pack or whatever, his little coin purse, and he's pulling money out, and he's got an X-Acto knife on him. And like, he's pretty decrepit, right? Like, he could pull a knife on me and I would just fuck Sparta kick his ass. And I don't think he would get up from that. He's frail as hell. But he's got an X-Acto knife and he pulls it out. He goes, "Yep, I call this one the Persuader. So God dare a motherfucker try to come up on me." I was like, bro, like, anybody could whoop your ass, bro. Anybody. A 12-year-old could whoop your ass without a weapon, bro. The Persuader ain't saving you, my nigga. But I'm always nice to the guy. He sauced me. I think that time he sauced me like $50. Take the money, stick it in my pocket. I go for lunch. I come back from my lunch, and one of the guys I'm working with, Ben, he goes, "Oh, Leslie fucking dropped a gift for us." I was like, "What?" Like, I just saw him an hour ago. And he goes and he pulls out this little fucking baggie of drugs. And like, crackhead Leslie had no idea he dropped it. An hour at least had passed and he hadn't been back. So I'm like, yeah, I make one of the young guys take it out to put it in the garbage and then take the garbage out to the dumpster, right? I hope this nigga doesn't come back for his drugs. So I'm cutting, I get through a couple of cuts, a few hours goes by. And all of a sudden I hear the door open, because I cut right by the front door, right? The door opens and I hear, "Psst, hey." I look over. It's crackhead Leslie. And he just leans in and he's got a $20 bill. He just flicks it onto the chair, one of the chairs in the waiting room, and walks out. He had no idea. I don't even know if he knew the drugs were gone. And he probably thought he smoked it or whatever the fuck you do with whatever the fuck that was. A couple more weeks go by, summer's kind of coming to an end. We had a really long summer this year, so I'm thinking it's like late August, early September at this point. He comes in as usual, starts pulling out some money out the fanny pack, right? And he's got a different X-Acto knife on him. And so, at this point, like, I feel comfortable around this motherfucker, right? And I'm like, "Oh, is that the Persuader?" And he pulls it out and he's like, "No, I call this one the Equalizer." Anyways, one of the times he comes in around that time, towards the end of the summer, he's telling me, I don't really know. I just try to get through the haircut as quickly as possible because, like, I don't book him in. So I'm always trying to get through it as quick as possible. Majority of the time he's facing away from me. I don't always hear what he's saying, but he's going on about how he's spent like upwards of like 15 years in prisons, from here to the US to even Mexico. And he starts going off about this like it's sounding like he's a POW, prisoner of war, in this Mexican prison or something. I don't know the truth to really anything the nigga says at all. But it is what it is. Boom, boom. I get him out. He pays his $100, or the rest of what he hasn't paid. One time this guy gave me like $150 within like 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he fucking knows what's going on half the time. So one time, he's walking by. He calls me outside because he's fucking smoking his ciggy, right? And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be out of town for a little bit. It's my birthday coming up. I'll see you in a couple of weeks if I'm still alive." And I'm like, "Bet, that's pretty, self-aware of you. You're old, you're a junkie." I don't see him for a while, right? Say this is August, this happens. I don't see him till like end of September, like a month later, right? And I see him walking by and he's not coming in. Days go by where he walks by, says what's up. Now he's got a cane now. And finally comes in and he goes, hey, like, I don't have any money right now. Can you cut my hair and I'll pay you on whatever day of the month, which I'm assuming is when he gets his disability. I'm like, bet, no problem. By this point, he's paid me probably about $500 over the course of, 4 or 5 months. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. Fucking cut him up. He's like, yeah, the 2 weeks I'll have money. 2 weeks go by. He doesn't have any money. 3 weeks go by. Still no money. We're pushing into the middle of October here. And he pays up, which I wasn't really worried about. I totally would have done that one for free because he's banked several free cuts at this point, right? So he pays up and he's like, yeah, times have been rough. And I guess he was in a deal gone wrong. I don't know if he was the buyer or the seller, but it went south and somebody hit him with his fucking car. And he's like, yeah, I broke my leg. Somebody ran me over. I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro. This guy's invincible. He's blown himself up in a meth lab explosion in which most of his skin had to get grafted. He's been on drugs for at least 30, 40 years. And now he's been run over, broke his leg, and he didn't have no cast on or nothing. So I'm assuming he didn't go to the hospital. So I'm just like, this nigga's a cockroach. He'll survive a nuclear war. I swear to God. You can't kill this guy. He might outlast me, bro. So it is what it is, business as usual. He's coming in every once in a while, to prepay. He's got a little bit of flow now, a little bit of, ka-ching, jangling in his pockets. And business as usual, right? Now, November rolls around about a month ago, and I go to Mexico. I'm in Mexico for about a week with the family. And I get a text from one of my coworkers. And he's telling me how fucking Leslie came in and was just chatting his fucking ear off, telling him that his dick doesn't work anymore and whatever. Just it's the end of the day, right? My coworker Ben, he's packing up and he's about to leave, and then proceeds to ask if Ben can cut his hair, which Ben's never cut this guy before. He always prepays to me. So Ben's not getting paid for this cut. It's at the end of the day. It's a literal fucking junkie. So Ben's like, hey, yeah, man, like, I don't have any time. And he goes, oh, fucking whatever. Rolls his eyes and walks out. So Ben texts me. I'd been in Mexico like 2 days at this point, right? Ben texts me, gives me the lowdown on what happens. And, Ben wasn't rude to the guy or anything, but he's texting me. He's like, yo, like, fuck off. You're a literal fucking crackhead, and I'm not getting paid. And it's the end of the day. Like, fuck off. Rightfully so, right? And so I guess Leslie comes back the very next day, and it's just Ben in there again. And Leslie is pissed. And he's like, yeah, I was in here yesterday, and this motherfucker wouldn't cut my hair. And Ben's like, yeah, that was me. And he's like, oh, well, fuck you then, and leaves. So I come back a week later. I'm there 2 days, and each day Leslie walks by, looks inside, rolls his eyes, and keeps it moving. Like, doesn't poke his head, just keeps it moving. And I'm just like, damn, like, this nigga's really sour about this shit, right? So on the third day, it's early in the morning, maybe like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm there by myself, and he comes in, and it's cold out at this point, right? We're talking, this is like end of November now, right? He comes in, takes his mittens off, still has the latex gloves on underneath the mittens. His fucking nose is running, right? And he's pissed. He's livid, mad as fuck, right? He's like, yeah, I was in here a couple weeks ago, and this motherfucker motherfucker wouldn't cut my hair. And you know how long it takes to cut my hair. And this motherfucker this. And he's like, and I'll say it to his face. And then he goes, it wasn't you, wasn't it? And I'm like, nigga, you don't even know where you're at right now. You don't even know. I've been cutting this dude for like at least 6 months at this point. And he doesn't even know who the fuck I am, bro. So I'm like, no, it wasn't me. I was gone all last week. And he goes, no, it was longer than that. And I'm like, nigga, I know the date and the time it was that you came in. Ben texted me right after it happened. And he's trying to argue with me like I'm lying and it was me or something. And I'm like, no, it was November 22nd at about 6:30 p.m., guy. It wasn't me, bro. And he's got a homie with him. Homie's just waiting by the door. And I was like, listen, bro, me and you have an arrangement. So if you don't see me in here, just don't come in here. He's like, all right, bet. He goes about his way. And then I see him the following day. He's all waves and smiles again, right? He hasn't been in a little while. I see him most days. He walks by. He called me out to talk to me one time because Ben was there and he hates Ben now. And he's like, yeah, a couple of weeks, whatever, I'll be due. I'm like, no problem, bro. Whenever you're ready, come on by. And that's pretty much it. But, I seen him the other day. And he was all smiles. He hasn't come in and given me any money yet. Hasn't come in for a cut yet. I don't know. I guess the ending of the story is yet to come. And that's the Chronicles of Crackhead Leslie. I'm looking forward to the next time that he comes in. I'm hoping that it's interesting. And I will let you guys know. And usually I leave you guys with a little, some words of wisdom. It's a holiday season. Have a little drinky poo. Don't overdo it. And don't drink and drive, my nigga. Because it just ain't cool. So I guess that's my words of wisdom. As always, subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Mr. Blackman Show. Also, follow me on Instagram and on TikTok at JB Jordan Music for both. And you can also now, I got everything up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So however you guys like to consume your content, I got you, bro. I got you. The Mr. Blackman Show. New episodes every Monday. And that's it for me. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.